Hello, and welcome to Slade on Slade. This is Leslie, I'm Keith, and today's topic is how to title your book, or as some people call it, your manuscript. I am also the writer of the upcoming book, The House of Ribbons, due out in sometime early 2021. Unless 2020 consumes us all, which, if dinosaurs came out of UFOs right now, nothing would surprise me.
So my first question for you is, how important is the title of your book?
That's not important. Listen, write a book, don't even put a title on it. Just put it fucking blank out there. And it's going to sell. It's 2020. Anything could happen. It's just going to sell well. You know, it's like an Andy Warhol cover of just like a half-bit can of soup or something. Title of your book is important. You want it to grab the reader's eye. So you got to come up with something. On that note, there could be dozens of other things with what you want to title. I got a buddy who wrote a book. It's titled One Weekend My Ass. We had served together on our first deployment in the invasion of Iraq, 2003 to 2004. And when he wrote that, there were two other existing books out there. And I remember asking him, I'm like, weren't you afraid of getting confused on that? And he had said, and I quote, and I'm not knocking him, he was like, I didn't know anybody else wrote anything like that. So Google the shit out of stuff. GTS, Google that shit. I had a great title for my second book, couldn't use it because another other author wrote it, and it was all about domestic violence. And I did not want to be a book with sharing the same name with that when my book had nothing to do with that, because most of the time people are either going to remember only your name to look you up or the title of your book. And if there's another book out there with that title, it's going to get it could get confused, you know.
Do you want your book title to be attention grabbing?
Yeah, you want an attention grabbing title. If you're going to be cute and subtle, nobody's gonna see it. You want the person to grab it, but exploding cats from Mars. You got my attention right there.
You want them to be able to be on a airport bookshelf and grab it.
Yeah, I bought more than a few books from airports. You
Me
know,
too.
and in the military we travel. We traveled for a lot. In 2017 we traveled to Florida
So much.
for the Yellow Ribbon events. I think we traveled to 5 or 6. You want to be the rose that stands out, okay, without trying too much. But like I said before, Google the name of your manuscript. Because somebody might have that as something, and you don't want to get confused with somebody else.
So when you are writing your book title, do you want to make it memorable and searchable?
Yeah, you want it to be memorable and searchable. So you're in an airport, you meet a guy. Hey, I wrote a book. The guy says, hey, I wrote a book too. And you both exchange names. What's the first thing that just happened? You have no clue what his name is. He has no clue what your name is. But if your title's memorable, you know, exploding penguins from Jupiter, he's going to be like, it has something to do with penguins and Jupiter. And then Google's going to help you along with it right there. Because I don't know how many times we've been at military events and somebody's like, my name's this. And I'm like, my name's this. And then I'm like, who the hell was that guy again?
Yeah.
Who is that guy again?
Good thing they wear name tags.
No, I'm talking like a Yellow Ribbon event when we're in civilian clothes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if it's memorable, you know what I'm saying? Then I just got to remember one or two little things from it, and Google's going to do the rest. I don't know how many times I've looked stuff up because Google has pointed me in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So my next question for you is, do you want to make your book title informative about what your book is about?
You know, it really depends on the book. I mean, if it's the murder of Jane Doe, then yeah, if you're going with a detective book, then that's the information you're putting out right there.
So like your books are all called The House of, and then it's got
all right. So the backstory, all 5 of my books is the house of something. Now, as my buddy Don Scott was busting my chops about, what is the first? The House of Ribbons is
Yes.
THOR.
Yeah.
Throb. Right.
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no B in there. I can't spell. Listen, trust me. I wrote a great book. I can't spell. So when I put it out, I said, "Here's a hint to the title of my book," and I put out Thor, T dot whatever, however else you spell that. Then everybody was just like, "Ha, Thor," and they thought I was kidding, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then I realized the other ones were kind of weird, but. Yeah, so long story short, yeah, it's the House of Ribbons and then the House of Sleepless Dreams, because each house will play a very important role in this overarching story. Uh, so, what was your question?
Should it be informative?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's a murder mystery, like I said, the murderer Jane Doe. If it's a horror story, then you got a lot more liberty. You know what I'm saying? The crow that flies at midnight, whatever. It points to that direction. Unfortunately, mine doesn't really point to a genre. So you just got to read the back of the book. Just flip that bitch over.
So when you are selecting your book title, do you want to make it easy and not embarrassing to say?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're asking. 50 Shades of Grey. So when 50 Shades of Grey first came out, we were headed to Orlando, Florida, and we get on the plane and we were seated separately from each other with the aisle between us. But when we walked down, I noticed there was 5 individual women reading the same exact hardcover book. Now, my first thought was, that's the author I want to be. So when I sat down, I had a slightly older woman sit next to me, and then we ended up getting into a conversation about 4 hours into it, because she kept giggling and laughing. And, she was laughing about the premise of certain parts of the book. Because I'd asked, I said, isn't that that weird porn book they keep talking about? So whenever I hear 50 Shades of Grey, I automatically think what a lot of people think, porn book. But if you have an embarrassing title, like Attack of the Killer Dildos, you're going to have a problem getting on stands. And we live in an Amazon world now. So, I mean, literally 90% of all book sales in the world are from Amazon. That's a real statistic you can look up if you look up as of 12/4/2020. God, I can't believe 2020 is almost over. It's been such a fun ride.
So my next question is should your book title be short?
Well, it really depends. I mean...
you don't want a 26-word book title or a 15-word book
yeah,
title.
I'm drawing a blank. I literally can't think of one of those titles that have a real big scrawl. But, no, you
want it short so people can see it.
No, you know what I honestly think?
Remember it, I mean.
I think you want it the way you want it. You know why? Because you're putting it out. This is your book, baby. Put it out. Do your thing. Write it the way you want. Mine isn't really short. The House of Ribbons.
It is too.
Well, it's not really that short,
Wow.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Okay, and my last and final question for you, and this is a personal one. So how did you come up with your book title?
How did I come up with my book title? Well, I used to live on another planet in a multiverse, which we refer to as just another Earth, because we're snobby like that. No, I like the days when people lived in houses. So think of one giant house controlling X amount of cottages, and I call mine cottages, but 10, 15, 20 other houses, and people live in a community. And then it's kind of community. Think of like The Walking Dead. So you got all these different communities. But they just live like that because the smaller community, the less problems you're ultimately going to have. And that plays no part really in the book anyways. But the houses themselves play a major factor in the book. So for me, it was important to title them, and it took me about a year to title the first book. And then the other 4 books came within another year, simply because it was just, it felt right to title them all the same thing. Kind of like Twilight. You had Twilight, Eclipse, New Dawn. I can't
Breaking Dawn, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I can do them in order. But it had a theme.
My actual question for you is how did you actually do it? Did you Google it?
Yeah, okay.
How did you name? How did you come up?
I had come up with several names for the House of, and I settled on one. And I don't know if this was book 1 or 2, but a woman had written the book, and it was all about domestic violence.
It was book 2, remember?
Yeah, book 2. Yeah, that's right. It was all about domestic violence, and even the back of the book jacket was super sad. and I couldn't tell if it was autobiographical or not. But then I realized I couldn't use that title, so I kept playing with words. I kept playing with Jenga until I came up with something that nobody else had, because that was it was I know it sounds weird, but it was very important for me to just be able to be in an airport and say I wrote the House of Ribbons. And when somebody writes the House of Ribbons, I mean when somebody Googles House of Ribbons, it's the only thing that pops up. Okay, I don't want to have to go up against 5 or 6 undoubtedly better artists than myself, you know. So that's Google will save you, you know.
So that is all the content we have for you today.
Yeah, it's a small video.
Small video. But if you like us, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button below.
Bing!
And if you want to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Parlor, and MeWe, go ahead and get the links below also. And don't forget about the Patreon page. You could be a character in the book.
Yep. Yeah, I wrote 50 spots, and you could be one, or you could create your own name, or I could help you create a name, and you're going to get a little credit right at the beginning of the book.
Go ahead and like us on those social media accounts, and that is all we have for you today. So
yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know my wife said it again, but it really helps the channel grow. It helps other channels grow as well, so be kind and hit that like button. And feel free to drop me a comment. If you have any questions, I answer questions in the comments. Most of my comments come from Facebook friends, so that's usually why you're so goddamn handsome. And I'm like, hey, listen, I am as the good Lord made me. Bye.
See ya.